I probably tried every jar of sauce there was out there, all garbage, end up throwing them all away. And I said, like, why aren't we bottling this? Like, we need to bottle it. We need to get it out there. It's incredible.
When we decided to do it, I said to her, we don't tell anybody. Even if it's with good intention. The moment someone says, but, imagine, I think we probably lost about, I would say like 60 to 70% of our business in one day.
Hi everyone, and welcome to The Laura Show. We are recording in my brokerage today and not my regular studio because I have not one, but two incredible women here to speak with me who happen to also be like my height. So like collectively, this is probably the shortest group of people on this show. So high five to us. Totally. Natalie, Michelle, Saturnino. Thank you so much for being with me. You guys are the founders and owners of Thank Frank Sauce, not to be confused with Frank's hot sauce.
No.
Because when I go to type this stuff in, I was like, get Frank's sauce out of here. Thank Frank is in. Yeah. It's actually not even a hot sauce. It's a pasta sauce, everybody. And I'm saying pasta, not pasta, right?
Okay.
Am I doing it correctly?
We say pasta.
You say pasta?
Yeah, pasta.
Oh, I've been, my whole life, guys, I tell you, somebody corrected me once as a kid, and now I'm still wrong. Well, anyways, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
We have a lot to get into. I want to hear the story about how you guys started on this venture. But what I usually like to do with my guests is kind of go back a little bit to the beginning. Maybe you two, as their sisters, can talk a little bit about your upbringing. What was it like growing up in the household? What did mom and dad do? What was the situation?
Well, our father is actually an editor. So he works in television.
Oh, okay.
He's been nominated for Gemini Awards. He's been all around the world.
What's that,
traveling,
like TV shows and stuff?
TV shows, a lot of sports. Yeah, all that kind of stuff.
So you guys are used to the camera a little bit.
Well, I kind of am, because
No.
I was kind of like, if he needed someone to do something in front of the camera, he would always make me do it. So I kind of got
a little
put
bit
in
used
that
to it.
position.
Yes,
Used to
yes.
that.
You
Yeah,
played
I had
the
no
extra
choice.
role.
It was just like, you're gonna be here on this day doing
That's
this.
true, I
and
forgot about that.
yeah, I'd have to be like on a skateboard, pretending I was surfing in front of a green screen. Yeah.
Oh, that's so
So-
cool. I didn't know we were going to go down this path today, but there we go.
Well, that's how everything kind of started. Actually, was because my father worked for CTV, not
Okay.
City TV, CTV.
CTV, yeah.
And about 40 years ago, it was located at
Charles.
was on Charles, so Bay and Bloor area.
Yeah.
And my father came to my mom one day and said, you know, there's nothing to eat around there. There's nothing to eat. So along with my uncle, my mother, they decided to open up a little hole in the wall on Hayden Street.
Okay.
And they called it Scaccia,
Scatcha.
which it's like a Sicilian street food. Scacciata is to squish.
Okay.
So it's essentially like two pieces of pizza dough with different fillings squished inside.
Yeah.
You bake it, scacciata. It was called scaccia. So they started with this little hole in the wall. My grandmother would make rice balls. My uncle was cooking. My father never cooked. My father can't even boil pasta. so we started.
But the
with this
reason why
tiny-
was because we used to have it, every Sunday at my grandmother's house. She
Okay.
would make scatcha.
Okay,
And then
and-
my
and
mom
let-
was like, this is so great, we should sell this.
Okay, so out of curiosity, your parents born here? Or
No.
they weren't born here? Okay.
But came very, very young.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
gotcha.
they're, more Canadian.
Canadian, yeah.
Right,
Yeah, they
but
don't have
but grandma
accents.
was here. Grandma
Our
still has a lot
grandparents-
of like
That's right.
Italian heritage,
Oh, yeah, yeah. That's
obviously.
right, yeah.
And you guys grew up, of course, with the Italian food in the house.
That's it.
Absolutely.
Mom and
Exactly.
grandma or Nona are cooking.
Nona,
and
right.
yeah.
That's who's
Yeah.
feeding the husband, who's going out and doing the work. I
That's
got
right.
you. I know the
That's
picture.
right.
Yes.
So they had this little hole in the wall, and one day, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Manulife Center.
Yeah.
I guess a lot of the people who worked there would frequent the little hole in the wall,
Okay.
and there one day came an opportunity to open up at the Manulife Center. So they approached my parents, and they were like, there's this opportunity. Would you be interested in opening up here because we love your food? And my parents took the opportunity, and that was like, I don't know,
Over
30
35
something years
ago.
ago. It's
And
I think
the
33
restaurant
years.
still operates today.
Yeah, still there.
Oh my gosh.
Still there.
It is
Still there.
impossible. I'll tell you guys a very quick story about myself. So I have a degree in nutrition. And in part of that degree, you have to take one course that's a restaurant course. Because I guess the hospitality and nutrition overlap quite a bit. And so they had to, hospitality had to take nutrition classes, nutrition kids had to take hospitality classes. So we had to run a restaurant for a whole day on campus. And we had to staff it with the other kids in the class. And we needed to come up with a menu. And we needed to go and get patrons to come and pay money to come be at our restaurant. It was honestly the worst day of my whole life.
Yeah,
and
it's a lot
I
of work,
promised
so
my
hard.
professor who was the chef, so we all called him chef, of course, and he had that kind of like Hell's Kitchen, like he would yell at you and call you names and like belittle you because that's the restaurant industry, or at least that's what he was portraying the restaurant industry as. And I like buckled under the pressure. I spilled coffee on a guest. I used mozzarella and I was supposed to use cheddar. Like, how do you mess those two up? It just was not my thing. And so at the end of that day, I said, look, just give me a good mark. I promise you I'll never get into hospitality. I'll never open a restaurant. Just give me the mark I need to move on with my life, and we will go our separate ways.
Right.
And it's pretty funny because I ended up getting my master's degree and I needed a professor's letter. And I went back to that prof, even though I wasn't good in his class, but he remembered me and he was like, yes, like you're a hard worker.
So here
I'm
you
glad
go.
to know that you still haven't gone down the restaurant route.
Yeah.
But so he gave me that letter. And I say all that because it's such a hard industry.
Yeah.
It
It's
really
super
is.
hard.
You guys obviously grew up then.
Well,
Were you in this restaurant?
they opened Sketcha in the Manulife. I was 15 and I suddenly was told I had a job
in,
to
wash dishes,
to
like,
go to
whether it
on
was
Saturday.
legal or not.
So it was like,
Exactly.
you have a job, you start Saturday.
Yeah.
I was thrown in there really young, learning how to make coffee. We did everything. I wiped tables. I mean, it was just like, here you go. And I feel like we were both thrown in it. I think we probably hated it most of the time, but then you end up loving it. You think that you just want to be away from it, but then we would always return back to the
because I
restaurant.
did a lot of other
because you
things.
knew it so well, and it was just like almost like second
We
nature.
just loved it. I think we just
didn't.
didn't want to admit it, but like we
But
loved
also,
it.
I think then we became mothers, and it really allowed us to have the flexibility in our schedules
Yeah.
to take care of our kids and work. So there was so many reasons,
Yeah.
And still it's like bittersweet because you do, working at a restaurant, you take a lot of abuse from
Yes.
people.
When
then
people
you
are
have those
hangry, I
one-
mean, my goodness,
yeah,
my poor
absolutely.
husband
But
takes
then,
quite a bit of
like,
abuse from me.
Yeah.
When I'm hungry, let alone like people who are paying for
Yeah.
service and they have certain expectations, right? Like, and I've seen it at restaurants, like what people will say, particularly to waiters and waitresses, because they're front line. But you guys have
yeah.
done all of the jobs,
All
from
of
the
them.
sounds of it.
Everything.
What do you guys like best? Out of curiosity.
Well, I've never cooked in the restaurant. I have to say that. So, what do I like best? I don't know. Sitting and eating, like my break.
all the leftover
No,
foods.
you know what? I really love meeting people. I love just like learning about people and making connections. We've made such great friends over the years, met wonderful people, learned a lot actually. So I think that's been the best.
Yeah, I definitely think it should be like a prerequisite for anyone to work in a restaurant for, I would say, like a month at least to get an idea. Like you really grow a lot because, you learn to also, have a voice and you
Deal
kind
with
of come out of
stress,
your
deal with
shell if you're shy.
Yeah,
Then
you're forced to interact.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you learn
absolutely.
to be like efficient. You like there's so many aspects of it. So I think it's like an essential.
And just to be
experience.
human. I mean,
Yeah.
especially in the where our parents' restaurant is located, there's a lot of elderly people, and so you have to just be a better human being. I think sometimes
Patient.
patience,
Right? Helpful when you
Yes.
can. Maybe
Patient,
maybe
and
providing
also
food when you don't
understanding,
need to, or like people drop things and you replace them, right? And it's not like the margins are necessarily huge in certain.
No,
food
they're so
industries.
small.
It is
For
such a
small-
hard place to make
Yeah.
money that it's a miracle anybody does
I
it.
mean, especially like COVID and how
Oh,
all the
God.
prices have just inflated, and they've inflated for us. And the difficult thing is, tomorrow my supplier who supplies me with, let's say, chicken can come in and say, well, each case is an extra $5 now. I have no choice, and I can't just go change my menu that day to
Well,
compensate.
and then people expect a certain flavor, a certain taste. They want certain items on the menu. They'll be all in an uproar if you say we're taking this item off because of expenses, right? So you kind of have to deal with it. It's interesting
which we've done, because I'm like, I just don't sell enough of it, so I can't keep it.
It's
I have
really
to.
hard.
I don't want anything to go in the garbage. I have to really be careful with waste. So it has to be things that are just super popular, and whereas before we had just this ginormous menu, and
you tried to
whatever
cater
you
to
wanted,
everybody,
we
right?
had it. But you just
and
can't
it was
do
fine
it anymore.
because it was like the times were really different, right? So
When you have to change it, I guess also based off of like trending food. Like there's certain times where like, people who want to be healthy, they want to only eat certain foods, and it has to be gluten-free. And now when gluten-free kind of goes out the window, and then we have paleo come in, and then people want keto options, and I assume that you guys have to change that as well. No?
We're not.
We
no.
don't. You know what we do?
Good for you.
know
You
how
put your
we
foot
change?
down. But
Well, we change in this way, where if you want something, if we can make it for you, we'll make it for you. If it's not in the menu,
we try not to say no to anything.
we try and accommodate. If there's a pasta on the menu, if we can take something out because you don't want it, like. A lot of our customers come to us because it's almost like going home, where usually they'll forget to tell us no. For example, they can't eat peppers. So a lot of times my chef will remember that they can't eat peppers, and they won't even remember to say it, but we'll remember that they
for them.
Yeah, for them.
So it's like a
we're
small
kind of like
family
that.
kind of place.
That's
Like it feels like
Absolutely.
that old school.
That's exactly.
Like people come in, they feel like they're actually being served. They're not just a number.
Absolutely, they have everybody.
And they'll come
we know
every
their name.
day. I mean,
Aw.
so
And
we're
I guess
really
you have a lot of people who come like every day for
Every
lunch,
day.
right? Is it lunch
Or
most
dinner.
big? Oh, both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, like she said, a lot of them are elderly, so they have us. Some of them, when they're ill, I go see them in the hospital because they have nobody.
Yeah.
Or, it's just it's bittersweet because you have to take abuse, but then, the people that are wonderful are so wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what you do it for. It's interesting you said that you feel like everyone should work in the hospitality industry or at a restaurant for at least a month, because just owning my own business for the last 2 years, a lot of the people that we've employed actually have restaurant backgrounds, and like they might not necessarily have the skill set to do the job that they've applied for, but because they've worked in a restaurant, I'll give them the chance, not because I'm good at it, but just because I know how hard it is and how many different skill sets you need to pull on. And if, like you said, you have to talk to people, and like that's kind of a lost art in so many things, right?
right now,
in small businesses,
especially.
you need to know how to talk to people. Like everyone just wants to text, or they want to put something on social media, or they want to send an email. No one wants to pick up the phone or actually have like a sit-down conversation, a one-on-one meeting with people. And you learn those skill sets there. So
Absolutely.
I 1000% agree. It should be a prerequisite. That's like more important than almost anything else we do in school. Right?
Yeah,
think
no,
so.
For sure. I mean, my
lost
kids,
art.
I don't know how well they can carry a conversation. One is 18,
or just
one is
dealing
really
with
good at
difficult
texting.
situations
They are,
too,
yeah.
right? Like when something arises that's just like it's a little difficult, or someone has an abrasive personality, or maybe you've caught them on, to be able to work through that with someone, it's such an essential skill, really.
So I want to kind of dive into the sauce now for a
Okay.
bit. So I actually, just to let the viewers and listeners know, I was perusing on BlogTO, as I like to do every now and then. I get a lot of like real estate information from BlogTO. Not that necessarily it's accurate, but it gives me a lot of content for social media. And I just happen to be scrolling, and I see your two girls picture, and I thought, what is this sauce company? Because I love Toronto business owners. I love supporting Toronto businesses first and foremost, and I particularly enjoy it when I see women who are at the forefront of these businesses. And so that's why I really reached out to you, because I had skimmed the story and I thought this sounds really interesting, but I really want to hear from you guys firsthand. Why start this separate company? You guys were working at the restaurants, both at the time, right?
Yeah.
During COVID, I think I was reading, this was really the big
Yes.
precipice toward
right.
it. And where does this idea for a sauce company come into play?
So Natalie has to tell the beginning of this story.
Well, I think it was so bizarre because we were super busy.
Crazy.
And in one day, have you ever watched The Walking Dead?
Yes, obsessed
I
actually.
felt, I think it was a Monday, and it was so quiet. And I said to my chef, I was like, why is it so quiet today? Like, where is everybody? And this is a guy that, you never see this guy sweat. Nothing's a problem. Everything, yeah, no problem.
And the same
he
chef
was
since we opened, by the way.
Yeah, since
Oh my
day
gosh,
one.
Since day
he's
one.
like grown
Day
up
one.
there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Actually, the day we opened is his birthday. So we're the same so our
crazy.
restaurant has
And-
the same birthday.
Yeah.
So he was like, I don't know. And I was like, is it a holiday? I couldn't figure it out. And so, you have to imagine, I think we probably lost about, I would say like 60 to 70% of our business in one day. So it all of a sudden, it just felt like The Walking Dead. There was nobody.
And we
you
were
could
so
throw
used to being
you
so
could throw
crazy busy.
bowling balls, you're not going to hit a person.
And you didn't know when you'd be open again?
Well, I didn't even know what was going on.
Or you didn't even know you were closing down
No,
yet, probably
no,
at the
no.
time, right?
No.
So, I mean, then, the whole thing was shutting down. Our dining room shut down, but luckily we were able to keep just our front takeout open. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to work. And our chefs thankfully said, yeah, we'll work as well. And it was just so quiet. So I was, almost like finding things to do. And I went into our stock room and I saw this like can of pizza sauce, and I was like, what do we have this for? Why do we have this sauce? And we use part of that as our sauce all these years. And I was like, why are we using this? Like, we know this is our thing. Like, we make sauce. Like, why are we
using
So I went
pizza
to our
sauce,
chef. I was like, why? He's like, no, it's really good. Our customers love it. I'm like, I don't care. Throw it away and never order it again. And I said, I'm going to my mom, and we're going to make the best sauce, because my mom makes the best sauce, because everyone needs to eat my mom's sauce. Everyone needs to eat like
Honestly.
this.
Well, now we can.
And so it actually took.
Which
I know
sauce,
it
by the
sounds
way? Was
silly.
it the like
so
an
my
original
mom makes
tomato
a
sauce?
delicious tomato sauce.
Yeah. Okay.
So Italians usually every September they buy the tomatoes, and they go in the garage, and like everybody gets together and you make your own sauce and you jar it, and it's supposed to last you for the year. So you share, depending how big your family is,
Right.
everyone takes cases of sauce, stores it in their basement, and we use that for the year. So I went to my mom and I'm like, Mom, you got to show me how you make your sauce, because it's delicious on pizza, pasta, anything. It's just amazing. So she showed me how she made her sauce. So I went back to the restaurant, and just from onions to this to that, like I kept going back to her. No, it's not good. No, it's not. It's better, but it's not right. Better, but it's not right. I'd let her try it. Oh my God, it's so delicious.
Right.
This is the best
And
sauce.
Mom's saying,
then my
"No, it's
mom
not
would try.
right."
Mom
Yeah.
go, no, it's not. And I'm like, oh man. And she's like, no, this is delicious. And I'm like, no, Mom says no.
Yeah.
So finally we
Mom's
got
been
it.
making sauce for a long time.
It took a lot. It sounds so silly, but it actually took so long
Very
because
long.
it was so particular to how much of everything we used to the actual tomato. And when I tried to
cooking
even
time.
be cooking time, everything. And so to try and be more cost efficient, I would try different tomatoes, and no. So of course we have to use the most expensive tomato,
course,
because
yeah.
that's what makes it delicious. And so then she tried it, and she goes, Natalie, we gotta jar this stuff. Like right now, nobody's can go out. People would love to have this on their shelf, right? People.
And
would
you
die to
were
have this.
making it really with the pretense of we'll serve it on pasta at the restaurant.
Yeah,
She just wanted to
I was like,
perfect
no
the
way. I
sauce
was like,
there.
this is the time to make things.
Amazing.
If I need to improve anything here,
Gotcha.
I'm gonna improve on it, right? Because it's just me and a chef, and I have all the time in the world. So why not?
But then when I tried it, I'm always been the type of person that when I want something and I can't find it, I will make it or I'll do it. And I was like, I had actually broken my wrist right at the beginning of the pandemic. So I'm home and I really can't cook. I can't do much. I probably tried every jar of sauce there was out there, and the most expensive, organic, they're all garbage. I end up throwing them all away. And I said, like, why aren't we bottling this? Like, we need to bottle it. We need to get it out there. It's incredible. You could literally like drink it out of the jar.
Well, I do sometimes. I just take bread and I just
Oh,
eat
yes,
just on
yes.
it.
Oh,
And I'm at a restaurant
yes.
where I can get anything that I want, and I'm literally eating
Fresh
bread and sauce.
Oh gosh. I'm getting hot just thinking about it.
Yeah. So I mean, I also have a lot of issues with digestion.
Okay.
So there's no garlic in our sauce.
That
'cause
I was
don't
reading that
digest
no
it at
garlic.
all.
But
It's a big
I love
thing.
garlic.
I know.
So
Me
the
too.
thing is, the way it's how we cook it, it's not like this crazy science. It's not like we've reinvented sauce. It's so simple. And that's how our mom makes it, and our grandmothers made it, and that's why it was so
Simple
delicious.
but good ingredients.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the thing about it is, if you love garlic, add garlic.
Exactly.
Right.
Add garlic.
That's true. You're,
You can
you're
add
buying it
whatever
to
you
have, be
want.
at home.
Add garlic.
Yeah.
Add whatever you want. But a lot of people have the same issue as me. And what's funny is I didn't even realize it until a friend of mine came to me and he said, Natalie, I love your sauce because I don't get bloated after I eat it. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I guess because I've had this issue forever, I know, like,
You know
what
what
I
it
can
is,
eat,
and some
yeah, and
people
I was like,
wouldn't.
oh my goodness. I was like, it's because there's no garlic, and onion is
Onion.
basically minimal.
Yeah.
It's
So minimal. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
So minimal. And we don't put any preservatives. We don't add any water. We add no It's really like what you would get if you went to my mother's house on a Sunday.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
and
that's
she made it
interesting
for
though.
you.
So you're thinking, okay, like we have great sauce, but like I'm sure there's a bunch of Nonas out there that have great sauce.
Yeah.
They
right.
do. But do you have
there's
one?
the concern. that I definitely
Right?
do not.
So-
But there's the concern of the packaging it. You know what I mean? Like you have no preserve. So was there concern there when you're thinking, okay, well when we
Yes.
bottle
So many
it, does it
hurdles.
lose?
So many
Yeah, like tell
hurdles.
me
It
about that.
was
I can only
so
imagine.
Almost
there-
impossible.
Yeah, it needs to there needs to be a certain acidity for it to preserve.
Yeah.
We've been lucky that the tomatoes have been acidic enough that we haven't had to add anything to it. There have been times that we've had to add to our meat sauce, our bolognese version, and I was like, we're not
No,
selling that.
I'd rather not.
I don't want it.
Rather
if
not
if
make
it's
it.
not delicious, I'd rather just not have it.
Right.
So luckily, so far, we've been able to meet the criteria of the acidity level,
And we just
haven't had
preserve it
to-
like the old-fashioned way, where we're just, like canning, like
Yeah,
on the
you-
stove.
mason jar.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
wow! So this is so interesting. Okay, so the pandemic happens. People are like, we would buy some stuff here, but we need stuff to prepare at home. You thinking, let me just improve a sauce. You're now thinking,
I'm more
business idea.
I'm more like, let's get this out. This is something I want. I want to buy, and it's not out there.
So what was the starting point? Obviously, just working with your current customers, like when they go to shop online or like on your menu. What was your thinking in terms of how do we promote? Just even like 12 jars. Like, how do we get people to buy this?
It's hard.
So hard.
She
I-
that's where she's comes in because she's more.
Well, first
You're
we
more
had to
quality
design
control on the
Yeah,
sauce.
She's
Okay,
all-
gotcha.
Yeah, I'm
What's
really
inside the
organized,
jar.
like having what we need.
Yeah.
I'm that end, and then she's
more
the-
marketing and.
Yeah.
So what was your
just,
thoughts then on that?
Well,
like,
first
how do
of
we
all,
sell this?
I wanted to. What was really important was the look and the branding. For me, I wasn't making. I know it's my nonna sauce, but it's not for that demographic. I was like,
Yeah.
this is for somebody. I want something that looks nice on my counter. I will pay extra for quality, and I just look was a big part of it too. I wanted it's for a
Aesthetically
modern
pleasing, yeah.
person, right? It's for someone that I don't have hours to cook.
The modern woman, perhaps, who
Yeah.
doesn't,
or
who
man,
isn't at
or
home
like really
cooking
anybody
all
that
day.
just isn't gonna
Yeah.
spend all day cooking, but wants that quality, wants the taste, and also just something that looks really nice.
Yeah.
So I worked with a designer. And the start off was just looking at old 1970s graphics, Italian graphics. And I just wanted it to be beautiful too. So aesthetically, it had to be really important. I love like a vintage print. So we kind of like bounced around. We met up with a few people. It's a
That did not
crazy,
share our
crazy
vision.
journey. I remember sitting down with my these two people. They're big in the food business, and they presented looks to us. So to me, I sat there first. This was at the restaurant. She was working, and they were big people. Like these are high up in like the grocery store chains. I'm not even gonna name. And I got up, and I was like, I hate everything. It was awful to me, and 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 my dad was like, what are you doing? It's just so offensive. But I had a real vision of what I thought it should look like and how it should be packaged. I wanted that old mason jar because it's the essence of what we have is like old school.
Yeah, it's like literally like if you were making it in your garage.
It's
right?
exactly it, actually.
Yeah.
And we even played around with different
exactly
jars, and it's like it had to feel right and look right. And anyway, I ended up working with this young woman. She's super talented graphic designer, and we together came up with the labels. The name was also something we
tell
kind
me
of
about
worked
the name.
on.
Where's the name come from? Thank Frank.
Well, I definitely wanted something more masculine.
Okay.
I'm not doing Nana Franca.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not
yeah.
doing
So our mother
like
is Franca.
Franca.
Her name, so there's Frank, right? We're not
Gotcha.
going to say thank
We're
Franca.
but we're thanking her because it's hers.
Yes.
I mean, it's
You never
her
called
recipe.
her Frank.
No,
Okay. I just
call
want to
her
know if it
Mom.
was a play or like, oh yeah, of course,
No.
obviously.
If we even called her by her first name, she would kill us. No.
I think it's just it's an ode to her. It's an ode to just like it's like so frank. It's just really
yeah,
simple. There's not a lot to it. It's that the whole thing.
Oh, I love that actually. That play on words. That's so interesting. And at first, because I was telling you guys, or maybe I said it on camera now. I can't even remember. Like I was searching. The Frank sauce. That's what I thought I was looking for. And then I
Like
was
Frank's hot sauce?
What? Yeah. And then I kept getting this, and then I was like, oh, thank Frank. And I was like, oh, they're thanking their mom or whoever this is. But I love that play on that. That's so unique. It's like simple, just like the ingredients.
So then all the hurdles of getting a jar, getting the
COVID,
labels.
you couldn't get anything.
It was awful.
At any point, though, did you guys think maybe this isn't worth it? Like with all these hurdles that are coming up.
I'm the one out there
why don't
selling
we just
it?
focus on the restaurant? Like, did you ever
I
think
think
that?
because you needed to pivot. Like there was just no one around, and you need to find ways to bring in income and to grow, right? And
honestly, for me, I just felt like there was such a void in the market. I really, really believe, like when I go to sell it, it's like, it's really difficult. I mean, people are downright rude. I've had just like crazy meetings. And
like you mean in terms of trying to get it in stores and things like that?
Yeah. It's like hurdle after hurdle. It's really such a hard thing, but I really believe in it. So, I mean, if it makes me millions one day, great. But if not, if I can just reach a small market. So the initial idea was just to hit little grocers,
okay,
which we've done. And oddly enough, I was thinking about this when I came here. All of our retailers are female-owned.
Interesting.
They're like, I mean, I have to give a shout out to the Mercantile in Roncy.
Oh yeah,
she's incredible woman.
I should probably have her on.
You should have her on. You know what? We just got another order today from her. She's so supportive, so wonderful. Like, and it's funny because I thought to myself, oh my God, they're all female owned, like all the places that carry our sauce.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I think I think the persona of women so often is like a cattiness, right? And women pitting women against other women. But what it's nice to start seeing is this kind of community of people starting to come together. And even in I know some people will be like, what community? Like, what do you mean? But like, there's segments of communities within a big city where I think it's important for us to help out. And that was one of the big reasons I actually wanted to start this show. Because I said, I've been on a lot of podcasts as a guest. Most of them, male hosts. They have a lot of confidence, or at least they're faking that they have confidence, one or the other. And they bring on a lot of male guests, or they talk to me about a lot of things that aren't necessarily interesting to me, or they don't quite understand the female journey. And so they're not necessarily asking the right questions. How could they? They don't necessarily know, right? And so it was important to me to kind of say, like, let's give a platform where women can come on and share their journeys wherever they're at their journeys. Whether it was, if you guys started this yesterday and you're like, Laura, we haven't sold a single can yet. And I'd be like, that's cool. Like, let's get the word out because we can help each other. You know what I mean? And I think that's so important. So I love to hear that. That's amazing.
It's so important. And I know how grateful I am when somebody gives us the opportunity even just to talk to us like you. I mean, it's we're all really busy. We've got a lot of stuff going on. And I just thought how wonderful that somebody reached out and wanted to, hear our story, spread our product, knowledge out there, and just give us the chance, right, to like be
That's just
out
it.
there.
Give us the chance.
The chance, yeah.
Give us the opportunity.
Yeah.
Speaking of being busy, you guys are both mothers.
Yeah.
How on earth are we juggling all these things? Because you still work at the restaurant, both of you? Or
So we have another little thing that happened also.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We opened a snack bar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
Your
we just
entrepreneurial
don't have
spirit.
enough to do.
Yes.
So like Natalie's at the restaurant still,
Yeah.
and I'm at the snack bar.
Okay.
Full
Where's the
time.
snack bar located?
It's
What's it called?
Christie and Dupont. It's called Rosaloo.
Oh, fun.
And,
What kind of snacks are we selling at the snack bar?
So we do have like Scatcha provides us with some of our food, and then we have like Pop Rocks, and it's a cafe. So
Yeah.
we're actually tucked into a laundromat.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's quirky.
Yes, I love that.
But it is super cute, and I think the feeling for me was because I was in that area a lot, and I had I noticed the lack of like somewhere to go for a coffee or something to eat, and I said to her like, we'd always talked about doing a little venture like this together, like just something.
We needed more to do.
More to do. More to do.
I
So we
know.
just did. It's something that's interesting about you guys is that like a lot of times people have good ideas or interesting ideas. Like I should start this. I should have this type of company or this type of business, but they just can't seem to take the first
Well,
step.
you know what? I think we got into a little bit of trouble because when we decided to do it, I said to her, we don't tell anybody. And she's like, why? And I'm like, because the moment, even if it's with good intention, the moment someone says, but, it's like, it makes you doubt yourself.
Yeah.
It makes you doubt everything. So we didn't tell anybody for quite some
Long
time.
time.
And I mean, we have also another sister. We have our parents. We have a brother. We didn't tell anybody.
Oh my gosh, not even
And
family.
then eventually we had
well, sometimes
to.
family can be the worst, mind you.
Well, that's the thing. And my cousin said to me, yeah, but not even your sister, because we're close with also our family. And I said, no, because even with good intention, if I hear but, like, but what about you have
Did
this,
you think? Did you consider?
I will just, shy away. I will get scared. So I was like, I also did the master class with what's her name? The Spanx.
I love her. Sarah. Isn't it Sarah?
What's her?
something?
Yeah, Sarah.
With a B?
Yes.
Oh
what's
yes.
Sarah
Oh my God, I was looking.
No,
Blakely. Yeah, Sarah
Anyways,
Blakely.
love her. And she said that that was her advice. Like, don't tell anybody until
Yes.
you're like, you've
It's so
done it.
true though, because people, you're right, good intentions, they want you to be safe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Particularly family.
what
Like
my
they don't want
mother
anything
said.
bad to happen to
Yeah.
you.
Absolutely.
They don't want
Yes.
you to lose all your money. They don't want you to regret anything. But as soon as they say but, it places that one seed of doubt. And there's so many obstacles and there's so much doubt already that
Yeah,
even one
exactly.
person can kind of derail everything, particularly when
Absolutely.
it's someone whose opinion you value.
Yeah.
Like family.
And I mean, any business, it's a gamble. And we went into it, like, we're going to try because we would regret not trying, And whatever happens, like, we'll be okay, and we'll
But
do
I'm
our
a little
best.
bit more like, I'm not like that. If I have a feeling about something
Yes,
and I
she'll-
believe in something,
You would do
then
it anyway?
I'm all in. And I don't care what people say. I will keep going. And
Good for
I
you.
mean, I'm not like that in that sense.
Yeah.
Like I walked by this place. I mean, honestly, if you see it, it's just like a time warp, this laundromat.
Yeah.
But I was just like, what's going on here? I think this would be a great spot. And I kept like thinking about it. And then I called and no response and nobody would answer. And finally I just walked in. And I ended up like talking to the lady that cleans the floor. And she gave me the
number.
owner's number.
See, isn't that interesting? Because you don't let an obstacle stand in your way, is what it's kind of
I
sounds like
believe
to
in-
me.
if I have
It's
a
like,
gut
no, I'm just
feeling-
going to keep going.
Yeah, no.
And that's what happens oftentimes in businesses, right? Like a lot of doors close first before they open.
Sure.
Right? And
Yeah.
it's like, I can't get a hold of somebody. I can't get a loan. I can't get financing. I can't hire the right staff, whatever it is. But it's like you have to keep kind of going through the motions. And unfortunately, it's easy to stop along the way. Like it's easy to say, I guess it's not the right
Sure.
idea. Right? And so when your why is that big, when you say, I believe in it, then it's going to
I
like
think
get
too,
you through
like
all that.
we had talked, we had this idea. We talked about this hole in the wall, like what Natalie said, how my parents started. We we were like, we would love just a hole in the wall.
It's kind of
know?
romantic in a way, like a romantic kind of memory.
Yeah.
You know, like I always think of small businesses because I have one. When people say, "Oh, I started my business in my garage," I'm like, "Oh, that's kind of cool. What a good story." I mean, no one wants to do that, like per se, but like there is something that knowing that your story is going to go back and they'll be like, "Look what we did with what we had at that time."
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing
So,
now.
you know, we sell our sauce at the snack bar. We're still working on that and getting it, you know, in as many places as we can. And it's always, there's many hurdles with, you know, with that. So
Have you come across any need to scale the production of it? Have you gone through any of the motions of that? Because I know sometimes people think of like, oh, I'll start small. But sometimes people also say, oh, but we have to think of like the future first and how we're going to set ourselves up for like scaling. So I'm just curious where you guys
going
landed.
with the flow, like day by day, what happens. We deal with it day by day.
And that, you know what,
you can't really get so far ahead of yourself because then, see, I'm different than her. I get scared, you know. So if I think too big, I don't know.
It's overwhelming.
I need
maybe?
her we have like a good balance because she has qualities that help us get through, and then I have certain qualities, so we're a good balance.
What's it like working with sisters? Besides, like on the not so good side, like is it hard because it's family?
I think, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and like how do you kind of navigate through making decisions? Is it like whoever yells the loudest wins, whoever is the most passionate? How do we go? How do we work that?
I think we're old. We've gotten past. That was a long time ago. We're too old for that now.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes we'll get angry, and then, you know, I think we know each other. So even if she says something that's like, you know, upsets me, I'll just say, okay, we'll get back to it. Like when we calm down or whatever, then we're fine.
Or I think
you know?
the key too sometimes is like texting can be really bad, and that can escalate to like something where you never even planned to go. So both of us are good at just like picking up the phone, and you know, we both have the same goal, right? It's not like we don't. And then we have a history of like my parents were in business with my dad's brother. You know, like we've seen family drama. We've seen business and family not work. And I think we're both really careful. We went into it, we're super honest about what our expectations are. So I think that that's also a really big thing, like what your role is, what's my role. I don't want to feel like I'm doing everything. You know, this is a partnership. And I think that it's just a matter of like having really open communication.
We've gotten this far, right? And like you said, when it's family, at least, you know you're going to come back because every other time in your life, you've always come back
Not
to
always.
each other.
I mean, you know.
Well, at some point you came back. It could have taken years maybe.
I don't take that actually for granted. I think it's, especially when you're in business together, right? It's a different thing where you have to constantly, I think, just make sure that you're on the same page, and I think both feeling valued and respected, you know.
How do you both find the time to juggle home life, work life?
Oh God.
And
Well, I
work
think
life
our kids are at an
kids are
age.
older.
How old are they
You
now?
know. Well,
17.
Well, I have 18 and 13.
Okay.
And I have 15 and 17.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Are they helping out? Are you getting them in
Yes,
the
actually,
Yes.
my
Yes?
daughter, the 17-year-old, works on the weekends.
Oh, nice.
It's kind of history repeating itself. It's her first job,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's we're doing it. I think for our children to see us also as you know, businesswomen and taking a risk. I really know we're setting a good example. I know because I have a very vocal 15-year-old who will tell me, "I'm so proud of you and all your work that you're
Well,
doing."
they
And
tell you one way or the other
you
too.
know.
Probably on the flip side when they're not that proud or whatever.
yeah. No, but we mean we wouldn't have been able to do this with our children being any younger. I think the important thing is that we have the flexibility and the freedom to be able to say, you know,
I love
I'm at
that
work.
because timing is so critical sometimes to things, right? You know, people go through different life cycles. I talk to a lot of my staff, and you know what worked for them 4 years ago, and the job that they said that they wanted and desired 4 years ago suddenly isn't the job that they're interested anymore. And as a leader, you have to kind of of course, say, well, we talked about this. I thought this is what you wanted, but you have to also then realize people change, people evolve, and they go through different life cycles. And you know, maybe, you know, at one point, people in their 20s, the guys who are in the room filming this today, like, they're in their 20s, and what is important to them today, I know, little babies, what's important to them today, when they're 35, if they have families, like, it might not be the same thing then. But I love that now you guys, like, instead, a lot of people might look back and say, well, you know, my kids are older now, and like, what's the point? I've made it this far. Let me just continue doing the easy thing that I'm doing.
Oh, yeah.
And might not start the business. And you guys are like, no,
sometimes,
now's the time.
No,
It's not
sometimes
too
I'm
late.
like, why did I do this? You know, it was so easy before. It is, it's a challenge, you know.
And we spoke about that. It's just not, because we have our other sister who was involved with the restaurant and recently decided she just wanted to go work somewhere, do her 9 to 5, come home and, you know, focus. Her kids are also a lot younger. She has little ones. And in a conversation, I was like, you know, are you looking to grow with the company? And she said, Natalie, I just want to open my computer, do my job, close it, and go home. And that's why I left the restaurant, because I don't want any more stress. I don't want to, when I come home, I want it to be about like my kids and
and that might change
family.
for her down the line too,
may.
and maybe not.
It may.
Right?
And we before we did this, we were like, is that what we want to do? You know? And it's like, no.
It sounds like you guys would regret more not giving yourself the challenge, right? So
Definitely.
like, I kick myself oftentimes, right? Like, why I was running my little real estate business. It was great. Why did I decide to then add on another business? And why did I decide to start adding on a podcast? Like, why create more work for ourselves? But there is something to, I don't know, I guess I kind of always look at it like, if I'm on my deathbed and I look back, like,
if you can, you should.
yeah, if you can, you
like,
should. If you even
if
have
you
that little thing in
can-
your voice telling you should, then that's kind of what gets me out of it. And it gets you through the hard times when you think, oh my God, this isn't worth it. You know?
Yeah.
But then it is worth it, because the day passes, the emotions pass, and you get over most
and
things.
just, you know, accomplishing things. I think that's really the point of life. Otherwise, like, you know, you can go on a vacation, that comes and goes, but it's like the everyday, you know, that makes up your life. And so, you know, we're always busy with something to do, and it's exciting when she's like, oh, guess what? This is going on, or this person reached out. Like, she gets so
we're
excited.
in this grocery store or whatever,
Yeah,
right?
she
When you
gets
land
so
it.
excited, and, you know,
I love
so-
it. I love when people like getting feedback, when people appreciate or just tell me anything. Actually, when someone takes the time to reach out and tell you something about what you've worked so hard on, it means so much to me. I'm like so thankful. So
Have you
it's nice.
guys had to hire for the sauce company specifically? So it's just the two of you doing
I
all
mean,
of it? Like,
we
you
have
make
our
all
chef
the,
who.
oh, right.
So I'm at the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Our chef makes the sauce. I label it. I package it. I do
Wow.
all of that. It's all.
I get
so
it
if
in
you're
my
having
car
our
and I get
sauce
it
that
out to
hasn't
everybody.
Been on a shelf for 5 years.
Wow.
It's like pretty much fresh and like coming from.
As
home.
close to literally being made in the stove
Yes.
and being served right away.
Listen, I keep it always on my counter, and usually it goes because my son makes it. It's so easy. It's ready to eat. You just have to boil your pasta, add it, and it's ready. So my son loves it because it's always, you know, such an easy meal, and I never have to worry. I know that. Oh, my microphone. I know that if you know, I'm busy at work.
Yeah.
There's always something for him to eat.
Yeah, something that's easy. You can
Yeah,
whip
actually
it up, and it will be
yesterday we
good.
had a customer come in. He bought 4 jars and he said, this is the best because in the morning I boil some pasta, I throw in the sauce, and I have lunch for my kids, and it's their favorite.
Yeah.
And you know that, you know, my partner's from Rome, from Italy, and so I'm often in Italy, and everything there, the food is fresh. And I eat when I'm there.
Yes.
And eat. And
That's why
eat,
everyone always goes,
and
how
eat.
can you eat so much, the Italians and the French? And that's
Yeah, but
because
you
they...
know what? I always come back. I never gain an ounce from that trip because everything is fresh, and so that is also really important.
We've really
to me.
missed the
Everything
ball
here
here,
is like
I think, in
packaged,
North America.
processed.
Yeah.
Like there's you cannot read if you look at our label. You can read it and you know exactly what's in it.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, 5 ingredients
nothing.
and you know what they are. So
where's
me,
the
that's
best
so important.
place for people to buy the product? Like obviously you mentioned one of the stores. Can they buy it online? Can they go to your website and buy it and order
we
it?
do. We have we are online, and you can get it delivered to your door. And then it'll list all the retailers also. So if you look up Thank Frank sauce online, you'll see our website, and you'll be
Love it.
directed
I think I'm
to.
gonna have to place an order here because my husband and I, like growing up in university student, I ate pasta all the time, whatever, but like crappy sauce, and I would add things to it and try to make it better. And then for the longest time, I never ate it anymore because it wasn't that good. And just recently, my husband and I started like going to Italy to buy like better ingredients, thinking that maybe
Yeah.
that would help. And like, I'm
I
like,
think
oh,
she bought the
this
most
is what
expensive
pasta
I bought the
ones
most
there.
expensive
And we were like-
pasta sauce at Italy, actually.
Yeah?
And I gave it to my neighbor. I
Oh,
was like,
'cause yours was better.
I can't eat it. It was
No,
awful.
It's this taste. I don't know.
Well, it's also had to ship across all this way. I don't know. Maybe
no,
there's
it's what they put. They all put
all these spices and
when I first made, when the very first time I went to a cottage, I brought my kids. They were really little, and I just went to the grocery store and grabbed a sauce off the shelf.
Yeah.
This is years ago, at least 10, and I made this pasta at this cottage one night, and my little toddler took a bite of it. This is the first store-bought tomato sauce she'd ever had, and she looked at me. She's like, "Is it pizza?" Like it's like she almost didn't know what she was eating
Right.
because it didn't taste like pasta sauce to her.
yeah,
You
for
know,
us.
it was so full of like other spices that you would maybe think for a
too
pizza.
much. It's like overdressed, right? Like it's overdone, and sometimes
And
the
they're
simplicity-
hiding
like
a
when
lot
you
of
think of like
things
a
with that.
margarita pizza. There's like 3 ingredients.
That's right.
Right. So I feel like this is the equivalent of that for pasta.
Yeah.
I always like to wrap up my show with asking my guests, you know, if you could leave the next female entrepreneur, the next woman who's juggling her own ambition, work-life balance, whatever it is, obstacles, what would be maybe one piece of advice you would each give that person? You can take it anywhere, anything that you've learned in your years on the planet, really, but business if you want to go there.
Okay, for me, I think the most important thing is to really believe in yourself. You know, just I drown out any noise, and if you believe in something, if you really do believe in either if it's a product or whatever it is, I think you should just, you know, trust your instinct and your gut and go for it.
I love that because too many of us, if that makes sense even, too few of us do truly believe in ourselves. I don't know where it happened because as kids we did.
Yeah.
You know, we get up, we fall, we get back up, we fall, we get back up, and somewhere along the line, that negative voice in our heads, either from society, friends, family, whoever it is,
I think it's everything.
it you know, creeps in the way, and there is a lack of belief. And I think, you know, that takes time too. It's not like, oh, you listen to this podcast and now you believe in yourself, but it's the work
It's your
toward I can
self-talk.
do it. It's your
Yeah.
self-talk.
You have to have like really positive self-talk, and it's really hard. And it's not like you can do it for one day and then you're fine. No, it's
Yeah.
like going to the gym. It's like exercise for your mind, and the things you tell yourself have to be the things that you would tell someone that you love, like positive and reassuring. And even though it's hard, and sometimes you just don't want to do anything at all. Sometimes you don't even want to get out of bed.
Yes.
It passes, right? Like nothing is forever. So, you know, have a shitty day. You can feel shitty for a day, but then the next day get up and like, you know, start having the right talk with yourself. I think it's so important, you know,
I
to
love that,
really
yeah.
be mindful of what the words you choose. Be really careful what you choose to say.
Catching yourself in the moment. Like
Yeah.
sometimes I'll be like, you idiot. Like
'Cause
I'm
if
talking
you
to myself,
say
I'm like,
it-
oh my God. Like,
Yeah, you
that's
can
a
say
little aggressive thing. Like I would never say that to anybody else.
No, but
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
You know?
And it shouldn't be like, I'm stupid. You can say, I did something stupid,
Yeah.
but not I am stupid, right? Because we all make mistakes, we all do stupid things, but doesn't mean we're, you know, we're stupid people,
Yeah.
right? So it's really like, just be very particular of what comes out of your mouth, even
That's
to
a great,
yourself.
great lesson.
Yeah.
I love that. Ladies, I love what you're up to. I'm
Thank
very
you.
excited for you both. I'm very excited to try the sauce. I'm going to place an order when we're out of here. I actually should have asked you to bring some so we could show it on the camera.
I'm not going to say I'm an idiot because we just said not to say that, but we actually
No, I should.
we met downstairs and I said, "Oh my God, did you bring sauce? Because I forgot."
That's quite
sauce."
all right. We're talking about it. We'll put links to your website and stuff
Thank you.
on the channel to make sure that we can direct them there. I just, sometimes it's nice so people can see it. They might recognize it in the store, but no worries. We will find it because we're going to be on the hunt for the sauce now. Okay. And congratulations on all the success you guys have had so far. And I wish you guys the most success in the future. So thank you again for coming.
Thank you. So nice to be here. So nice to meet you. And
coming in a storm of all things. So you guys made it.
Yes.
And now we can all go home and have like a nice cozy meal. So
That's it.
guys, thank you so much for watching and we'll see you next time.